Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome back to tomorrow's weather today. Today we have, oops, it just reloaded there. We have a severe weather risk for the south in Dixie Alley with a snow threat for central Texas and a freezing rain threat for much of the central United States up into the upper Midwest. But before we get started, please make sure to like this video, comment down below if you are in the path of this next system, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Today we have a tornado-driven enhanced risk with a low Cape high shear environment into the south half of Louisiana. As you can see, we have a 10% chance for tornadoes. Um, for much of Louisiana, 15% a large area, 15% chance for damaging wind, and a 5% chance for large hail. Taking a look at our satellite imagery, we can see our low pressure system here in Texas, with the cold front out in eastern Texas moving along um, towards the east. Our main threat is in this area right here, and we can see some clearing with southerly winds in the low levels, and winds crossing from the southwest, excuse me, in the mid to upper levels. We have snow falling in this area, and some freezing rain and mixed precipitation off towards this area. This cold front with the line of storms will start moving into Louisiana, and some supercells are possible. The WPC is highlighting this today with the severe weather in the south, freezing rain through most of the Midwest, all the way from Texas all the way up to Ohio for today, with some heavy snow in southern Texas. Thunderstorms are possible for a large area as well. Some flooding is possible today too. We will see that highlighted by the WPC with the excessive rain forecast. Day 2, we have a large area of freezing rain spreading into the northeast possible. It looks less likely for New Jersey, but it still is possible to get maybe a tenth of an inch of ice. By day 3, just some mixed precipitation and possibly some snow for Maine, and some mixed precipitation for behind the system with some freezing rain still possible. Taking a look at our excessive rain forecast, we can see we have a slight risk for some flooding today, through Texas all the way up into Arkansas and parts of Louisiana. Day 2, this kind of diminishes, but there's still a marginal risk for some flooding. Taking a look at our HRRR model, before we do look at this, let's look at precipitation type. You can see the HRRR model is picking up on that snow in southern central Texas, with the cold front extending downwards, and it looks like a warm front possibly in this area. Moving this ahead, we can see the snow continues for central Texas, and as we get into the evening tonight, we can see some storms firing into Louisiana and Mississippi ahead of the cold front. My dog is about to bark, so I apologize for that. But we can see the cold front extending downwards, and some heavy snow still going in Texas. And the freezing rain really gets its act together tonight. Let's take a sounding up there um, real quick. Yeah, this is definitely a freezing rain sounding, as we have our 0 degree line right there. Um, so this is all going to be snow in this area. Then it's going to melt, become a water droplet, and then it's not going to have time to refreeze, so it's going to fall, and then at the surface, because it is freezing, it will freeze on contact. The line of storms continues off into Mississippi and Alabama overnight into the morning. This shows a better view of the possible storms. We can have some supercells ahead of the main line associated with the cold front. I'm thinking more of a tornado and wind threat today. Taking ahead at our supercell composite, we can actually see where our fronts are located. We have our cold front just in this area, warm front there. Let's take a sounding in one of these areas real quick. Yeah, this is a pretty good sounding here. Um, with a lot of turning with the wind, this actually is plenty of instability here for severe thunderstorms. A nice hydrograph with a lot of shear, upwards of 2 to 300. Um, just taking a look at this, yeah, this is a pretty good sounding with a conditionally unstable environment. Lapse rates are about 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer. And you can see the nice turning with the winds with that high shear environment. There's no cap in place, which is going to allow storms to fire. Our equilibrium level is high up, so I expect probably um, our cloud tops to be up in this area. Very high up today, possibly. Looking at our 2-meter dew points and wind barbs, we could see a very moist environment with some 60, almost 70-degree dew points in Louisiana, which is plenty for severe storms. And we have some backed winds, meaning that so this is a southerly wind. Backed winds are going to be anything on this side, while veering winds are on the left side. Here's our low pressure system in here, and I think our cold front is probably in this area because you can see the wind shift right there. Um, and our warm front in this area with the wind shift right there. Taking another sounding in central Louisiana. This is contaminated because I bet there are storms here, but you get the general idea about the low Cape, high shear environment that we have going on today. Going back to the severe weather tab, let's look at our LCL heights. Very low today, which is good for tornadoes. Looking at updraft helicity, let's look if the H-triple-R is picking up some rotating thunderstorms. Oops. And you can see that with the lines there. The SIGTOR parameter, yeah, it's definitely getting up there. Let's take a look near our triple point with a 2.3 SIGTOR. Um, very low cape, but very high shear environment in this area. Lapse rates are looking pretty good. And a lot of turning with the winds with height. Turning of the winds with height. Storm relative helicity, yeah, it's certainly there tonight. The 0 to 1 kilometer, looking at shear from 0 to 1 kilometer as well. There's plenty of shear as well. Looking at our low level jet, certainly going to be there upwards of 50 to 55 knots and going up to 500 millibars. Um, 65 to 70 knots. Again, certainly enough. Now let's go over to the GFS model. We will look at the NAM2 to look at this freezing rain threat. So you can see the low pressure system here in Texas with the trailing cold front and warm front, something like that. Freezing rain gets its act together late tonight into New Year's Day morning. this low pressure system deepening and some with a warm front there, and that overriding causes some freezing rain potential, and that moves all the way up into the eastern United States with some snow as well. Let's go back to the HRRR and look at um, how much snow is expected to fall. From now, maybe be another 6-8 inches at most. Let's also take a look at the WP's, excuse me, forecast, NWS forecast. This is what we wanted. 24-hour ice. Upwards of 2/10 of an inch of ice in some places, a tenth to 2/10 of an inch. Any snowfall, yes, upwards of 6 to 8 inches, but a large swath of 2 to 4, possibly up to a foot in southern central Texas. Wind gusts up to upwards of 20 to 30 miles per hour. But taking a look here again, the GFS is calling for a large swath of 2 to 6 inches of snow. Since this is right now, let's take a look at the NAM computer model right here. You can see what we have right now, the snow falling in Texas. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Snow falling in Texas with the cold front down here, the warm front up here. Move this ahead, it has storms firing in Louisiana, and this freezing rain really starting to get going tonight into tomorrow morning, and that spreads into the northeast and snow into Maine. Let's just take a NAM sounding in this freezing rain so I can show you what we're looking at. That 0 degree line, like I always talk about, snow up here, and then melt into rain, doesn't have time to freeze as it hits the surface, and then freezes on contact. So I think that today and into tomorrow we have a serious ice threat, um, you know, for this area. I'm thinking into Pennsylvania, maybe up to a quarter, up to 3 to 4 tenths of an inch of ice, especially in central PA. Severe weather threat is certainly looking probable in Louisiana, and if we take back to the Storm Prediction Center, looking at our mesoscale analysis, looking at our surface obs, we actually have a 70-degree dew point here at Lake Charles, I believe this is, and our warm front, I want to say our warm front's right here, because we have like northerly wind here with 50-degree dew points, and then southerly wind here with 60s and 70s degree dew points, and the cold front back in here. So our fronts are looking something like that. Looking at our cape right now, there is some, close that, and the RAP is calling for some supercells getting going within the next 4 to 6 hours. Um, let's see, what else can we look at here? Sorry about my dog, but the supercell composite is getting up there with some shear. And if we take a look at our shear, bulk shear, surface to 6, upwards of 60 knots of shear, which is pretty good. Downdraft K pretty low. And the LCL heights are low, and so are the LFCs. Front of Genesis, we can see where our fronts are. Again, here's our warm front in here, and our cold front down here. But I think that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel because it would really help me out. I will see you all tomorrow or in the next few days. Happy New Year. Have a safe and healthy year. Goodbye.